The name of the company is MAMECO Engineering, and they built all the chassis and assembled everything, put the bodies on the cars, tested them, made sure they ran and everything. Glassbar Boats built the body, and they were the first ones contacted by Disney. It wasn't my dad. And it was Bill Tritt, the owner at Glassbar, that referred Disney and Bob Gurr to my dad's company, MAMECO. Prior to that, they had built a race car and campaigned it for Glassbar Boats. And the car is called a Glassbar. It was the first fiberglass bodied race car, and they actually had quite a bit of success with it for a small time operation, because they were racing against Jaguars, these big factory teams. The first driver quit because the car scared him. It was too fast. And so they did that. Glassbar finally figured it out that they weren't going to be able to sell cars. So they stuck with boats. They dropped the race program. But that's when Disney approached them, and luckily for my dad, because they needed work, they sent him, to my dad and Ted. They had met in the Army. They were young guys. They were just starting out. My dad was 26 when they were building the Autopia cars. So it's not like they were experienced engineers or anything like that. My dad built the Autopia cars, the first Autopia cars in 1955 with Ted Mangles as partner. The way they got started was they were referred to Disney by Glassbar Boats. Glassbar built the fiberglass bodies, the plastic bodies, and my dad had campaigned a race car for Glassbar, so they said that Bill Tritt at Glassbar recommended to Bob Gurr, the Disney engineer, that they should use my dad's company to build the chassis and to assemble them. So that's how it started. They built 40 cars, 7.5 horsepower. They had a governor on them so they couldn't go too fast. Bob Gurr was very involved. He was down all the time. And it was just a little business down in Newport Beach on 30th Street. It was a different world back then. There weren't big factories where you would have somebody R&D a car like that. For Autopia, for the Manx, they were all backyard operations. Bob Gurr talks about how he'd run around and just buy parts off the shelves for the Autopia cars, try to find something that would fit. And he'd bring it to my dad, and they'd look at it and try to make it work. And it's not like they made special parts on a lathe, for the steering box or something. He was always scrounging. They even tested him on the streets of Newport back when it was a sleepy beach town. And Bob Gurr, my dad wanted to show Bob Gurr how great the car was, so he removed the governor off the motor, and they were tooling around Newport, and Bob Gurr crashed into a parked car in front of the police department. But they built the 40 cars. They were invited to Disneyland. There was a kind of a pre-party before the park opened, so my mom and dad got to go, and they were very excited about that. I was only one, so I didn't get to go. And but that was for all the people that had worked on the rides. There's all kinds of funny stories about celebrities driving the Autopia cars before they had bumpers and before they had the guide on the track that kept you could still pass and everything. Guys like Sammy Davis Jr. and people like that. They had to add bumpers later because they were crashing them and wiping out the cars. The original cars didn't have bumper all the way around the perimeter. And so that was something they had my dad and Ted add later after the first batch, when they started smashing everybody. But anyway, it was very exciting for my dad and his partner because they were trying to get established. He ended up going on manufacturing boat parts and stuff like that. When I got older and I heard he was on one of the Disney shows, and it was kind of cool to tell all your friends at school that your dad built the cars. Because Disneyland was pretty popular in the 60s around here.